Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Gamer Social Club Weekly News Podcast. We are recording on Thursday, the 3rd of July, 2025. And I am your host, as always, Harry, aka Knavish Crayfish. And I have a full team again, so 3 for 3, which is nice. And a little bit cooler as well, I think, for us, which is lovely. It's been hot here for a while in the UK. And that, of course, means I've got no empathy, only daggers. It's Lady V. How are you doing, V?
I'm good, thanks, Harry. It has been a little bit cooler. We had a lot of rain yesterday, which was quite nice. So it's not as muggy as it's been over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, same here. No thunderstorms, sadly, but yeah, bit of rain, which always helps. And of course, the greatest showman I know, Adam, aka Oh No Not Addy. How are you doing, my friend?
Hello, I'm alright. Good to see you guys.
Absolutely. Good to be back for another show.
Yes, indeed.
And of course, running out the team, we have our own Steam Deck verified Mark, aka We Awoke the Hive. How are you doing, my friend?
Really good, thanks, Harry. Ready to rip on my favourite console, Xbox, this week, so I'm sure we'll get to that in a little bit.
Getting it in nice and early. Yeah, of course. No doubt the thumbnail will give it away, and no doubt you'll imagine that there's nothing else we can really talk about. But yeah, we will be talking about Xbox today for the show. But of course, before we get into that, let's deal with our little rigmarole. If you are a regular here, if you're part of the Gamer Social Club Discord, or a regular, a visitor of the site, or even a subscriber to the channel, you will already know all of this, of course, and great to have you here. But if you're new, if you've stumbled across this, hello, welcome. We are the Gamer Social Club, or at least part of it. We are a site that covers games in all manners, from news, reviews, previews, guides, editorials, and interviews, and anything else we can think of. And that's over on the website www.gamersocialclub.ca. We also, of course, have this channel here where you will find all of our YouTube content. You'll find what we have now is 3 podcasts actually now happening. We have this that you're watching right now, our weekly news podcast, which we always record every Thursday and try and get up on the Friday. And then we also have our party chat, which happens live on a Friday evening, or sort of, well, for us anyway. Time zones are funny. And we have actually got a new podcast that we have started to try out here, called the Gamer Social Club, or the GSC Girl Pod, with our very own V as one of the hosts or hostesses. And Candy, another member of the team, who have teamed up for their own show. Candy, can you tell us a little bit about it? Sorry, Candy, V, can you tell us a little bit about it? Yeah, maybe we can run a little clip, I think, that we've got to share.
The Girl Pod was sort of set up as a joke on our Discord server when we were talking about getting together and potentially just getting a bit drunk and talking about video games. And then it somehow became an actual podcast, and that's exactly what we did. So it's a lot less formal. We will be covering no news on the Girl Pod. We will be drinking wine and or beers, or occasionally sake, and giving our weirdest takes on video games. And a lot of it comes down to whether or not we would date video game characters. To be perfectly honest, there's a lot of chat about that. We will also be propositioning voice actors to come and join us on the pod. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We're having a good time with it.
It's a busy hour, but it's great fun. And we've got episode 0, so sort of the trial run is up on the channel already, and I believe you've already banked episode 1. Got that?
Yeah,
that'll be going up.
We
sometime.
talk about that'll go up next Monday, and we talk about the fact that Candy hates Pokemon. So if you want to hear some hot takes about Pokemon, or you too hate Pokemon, like, you could join us on Monday for that conversation. Like,
exactly, find your fellow Pokemon haters. But yeah, that will be in episode 1. But I believe we've got a short clip to show from episode 0. So yeah, we'll let that run, and we'll see you after that.
Yeah, no, I will finish it. I 100%ed the first one. I went back and got all the achievements and everything. I was like,
it's so
I need more of it. Like,
anytime, and like, it's, some of it is so silly, but I feel like they do a really good job of also the moments that are very serious or can be a little eerie or a little unsettling are offset by that humor. right? And it's like there are moments where it's just like, I can't believe this is happening, or oh, this almost feels like a little too hard to swallow. And then you remember that like Date's superpower is charged by porno mags, right? And it's like, here you go. Right? You're like, okay.
There we go. That's the clip we have for you to show off the new Gamer Social Club Girl Pod. So yeah, you have that to look forward to now on Mondays going forward. And obviously, we'd like to hear all about that from you. And you can leave all that feedback on the chat, on the videos as they come out. Speaking of feedback, of course, if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like. If you have any feedback for us here, anything you'd like to share, drop it in the comments. And of course, if you'd like to see more content like this, consider subscribing. And yeah, you can catch up with us every Friday when the video goes up. I think last but not least is just to cover how we handle things over at Gamer Social Club. We have 3 pillars of how we do things here. First and foremost, we are a grassroots independent team and site fueled by passion and our love of games, and wanting to share that love and passion with all of you. We finish every game that we review, and that means we roll credits, or if it's a game like a racing game that doesn't have that sort of idea, then we will do as much of it as we can to get a complete experience, to share that with you, so you always know that whatever game we are reviewing, we have seen it through to the bitter end. And also, when it comes to our news, we run everything through a rumor-free filter. So we do not cover anything if it's based on rumor. If it's based on purely just sources say, we will make sure that anything we report on is backed by the facts at the time, and we'll do our best to update it going forward to make sure that you are getting accurate news always from us here at Gamer Social Club. And yeah, I think that is the real out of the way. A little bit chopped up due to introducing Girl Pod, but yeah, that will be there for you to enjoy going forward as well. But yeah, with the rigmarole out of the way, we can talk about what we have been playing. And I certainly think I've done enough talking for a while, so I will throw it over to Mark. What have you been playing, buddy?
Cheers, Harry. So I've been playing with quite a few things this last week, actually. I've had a lot more gaming time than I've had for what feels like a couple of months. First one to talk about, I realised after last week's show that I hadn't talked about, was a game that I've posted a review for on the website called Bambas. And Bambas is a urban walking simulator. That's what the developer calls it anyway. Really unique game. You're playing as 2 different feet. And that will be obviously left foot, right foot. So your left trigger on your controller, right trigger on your controller, and your 2 analog sticks. So really unique kind of game. Nothing I've ever played like it before. Definitely taking inspiration from things like Untitled Goose Game, Little Kitty, Big City. So urban space, lots to do, lots of mucking around, mischief to be had, loads of different objectives, that kind of thing. But it's from a completely top-down perspective, so it's hard to work out where you're going. And but yeah, so reviews on the site. Difficult game to talk about really here. The one thing I really want to talk about is the absolutely crippling hand cramp that the game gave me. I've never walked away from a game since probably Rock Band or Guitar Hero heyday with my hands in so much agony. It was incredible. So every single step that you want to make around the map, which is not small, is a left trigger, right trigger press to alternate the feet. So when you're trying to go from the top right to the top left of the map, to the bottom left of the map, your hands are absolutely killing. I think in my playthrough, I made about just under 20,000 steps, and I just had to put the game down. I'd rolled credits, done everything I needed to do, but by that point, I just had to put it down and walk away. Bit of a shame, because the premise of the game is really cool. I thought I'd never heard of it until just before the review coming out, but unfortunately was not one for me. I do encourage you to read the review online, but I just could not get through the hand cramp issues that were faced with that. And I play a lot of Call of Duty, so that's notably quite strong trigger fingers. Another one I've been playing recently for review, and by the time this podcast episode is up on the YouTube channel, my review for a game called Antro should be live. Antro, totally different, which was something I played the demo for during, for the website's demo disc earlier this year. Antro is a bit of a Limbo inside-like that takes a lot of inspiration from short 2D platformers with very kind of unsettling undertones. Very inspired by the film, is it 1917? Sorry. No, is it George Orwell, the one that's
1984?
That's the year I'm thinking of. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
The book, yeah. There is a film,
Yes,
but
yeah.
That's such a good
So if you've seen the film, there's lots of similarities in the game, and it's clearly pulling from that. But gameplay, like I say, Limbo inside-like. However, it's very infused by hip-hop and lots of music like dubstep kind of things. So although you've got your short generic platforming stages, which are totally competent and really good fun, lots of things to find, there are also interlude sections where you're it's like a endless runner style where you're pressing buttons in the beat of the music to traverse lots of different types of terrain. You're taking out enemies, but it's a really nice blend of having that like more general platforming with something that's really infused by like Spanish, Latino hip hop, and again something really unique. I love the demo when I played it earlier this year, and the game really lived up. So should have the site on the review on the site by the time this goes live, but definitely one I want to recommend, and please do check the review out. And hats off to the developers. Had a really good few hours with it, and unfortunately one of the achievements was a stinker, and won't be getting that one, but I've walked away from 1000 Gs recently, so
Ouch.
Maybe I'm just getting a bit too old. But yeah, but kind of really good mix, Harry, and it's been nice to get a lot more gaming time than usual.
It sounds like it. I wanted to ask real quick about that Bambas game, because I've already seen Antro, and again, you covered that on the demo disc, if I remember correctly, a couple of issues back. So again, we will find that and we will drop it in the description below, which was a section I missed out on the rigmarole. Unfortunately, all of this that we talk about today will be in the description below, alongside all the socials as well, I should remind. For us, as well as the channel, we're on Twitter, we're on Blue Sky, we're on Threads, we have a Facebook. There, back to what we were talking about, sorry. With Bambas, is there no accessibility options as far as number of presses needed, or can you like hold it down instead to make yourself walk forward or anything like that? Is it purely just you have to press individual steps every time?
Every single time. Every single time. I went through every option possible to try and get something like that. And you know what? The game is set up to be controlling your feet. I get it.
Sure.
I get that's how it should be.
Mm.
But when I was getting from one corner of the map to the other, which is probably 1,000, 2,000 steps, it was just a killer. And you can find scooters and skateboards to get around. However, because of the angle of the camera, it's almost completely looking down. You can never see what's in front of you. So trying to find the ways to get around a bit smoother or easier. But even more frustrating, everywhere you go, there's a 10-foot wall, which you just can't get over anyway. So you walk really far to get where you want to be, and then you find a wall. So you've got to go back an absolute mile to find another way around. Sorry, I'm starting to get to vent now, but it was a really frustrating experience for what could have been a really unique and really good fun game. Yeah,
it does look really cool.
Sounds like the game's got soul.
Hey,
I hate it.
Hey now.
Well, I mean, he'll know about it.
Since he's on such good form, let's hear from Adam next. What have you been up to, buddy? What have you been playing? It's a bit today, but all right.
What have I been playing? I did quite a bit of Night Rain over the weekend. Tried to do a bit of Night Rain over the weekend, I should have said.
Mm.
We're grappling with a kind of equilibrious beast who's a prick.
Is that Libra?
No, he's the fifth Night Lord. He's all about madness.
And the one that you can take a deal from the front, the start of, yeah. Yeah, I've seen him. He looks wild.
Frick. So it's like you get the deal. So like it's pretty cool because you can like first time we played him, the guy but there was two of us. There's me and my mate in the party, and then the third guy, the randos. And actually, we do all right with randos. They're generally all right. A couple of times where people just leave because we went down once. Like it's not the end of the game, dude. We were up again. It was fine. So stop doing that if the sort of person does that. Fuck you. It's just part of the game. But we got to him. He's just like, so you can make a deal with him. He's like, oh, do you want to increase your intellect, or do you want to? Should we both fight at our highest strength? And so then he buffs you to your max strength, but he gets buffed to his max strength. But you're fighting like this, the ultimate battle sort of thing. Or you can have give you the like do you want to go to max level, and he gives you all your runes and like you ranks you up. But I think it's kind of like you don't get just that. So like my mate picked the max level because he wanted to get a few high levels, but his level decreased over the course of the boss battle. And like, you scumbag. But actually, it went all right. Actually, if you kill him, if you do the damage fairly quick. But oh my god, he is hench as fuck. Like he throws his robe off, and he's like, he's going to squeeze you to death. But just the madness is just all over the place. But yeah, it's a challenging boss. We haven't done him yet, but we got really close. It was infuriatingly close. Like, but we keep working on that. And the other thing. And just to say, I still love Night Raid. I think it's fucking great. It's really Moorish. Like you just want another round, you want to have another go, just have another run, fight it again. Like, you don't even feel like we joined with like a trio, but like Mark said before, getting a trio together is really hard. Like, but we have to book in like, oh, I'm free in 6 weeks' time. Are you guys free? Like, yeah, okay. So we have like a regular game night. We used to just play every night, and this is the nature of getting old, I suppose. But we managed to get him on Night Raid because we'd done Gears Judgment, as I'd said before. So we moved him to Night Raid now, and we did the first boss, and we got to that fucking second one. God. But yeah, so it was good to you don't mind going back and playing it again because like. If you get randomly raided by fellowmen, or if you got around just the different stuff that happens throughout it is really good fun. I really enjoying it. So shout out to them. It's a good laugh. But the other thing I've been playing is I finally started the Atomfall Wicked Isle DLC, which is really cool because I'm really excited. I was really excited to come back to Atomfall because I really loved it. But I played it earlier this year, and check out my review if you haven't played it yet. I should fully recommend it. But Wicked Isle's really cool, so it bolts on to the main game, but you can only access it early on. So if you progress too far in the game, you can't go to it because it sets up. Because the whole thing with Atomfall is there's like multiple ways to ending depending on the investigations and the stuff that you go down. There's different routes to get you to escape from Wyndham, which is the area it takes place in. So depending on how you investigate and work with people and answer certain questions and do certain actions, you could have like 6 or 7 different exits from the thing. But then they add more with the DLC. But obviously, if you just jump in at the end where you already start blowing shit up, you're like, well, probably can't just do that. So you probably have to get an hour into the game before you can find it. And this little guy just stood on the dock in Wyndham Village, and he takes you across this kind of creepy island that's there's an area in Atomfall called Casterfell Woods, and there's kind of like lots of druids and like worshippers of like the voices in the floor and stuff like that, which is caused by the weirdness that's going on and stuff. So you kind of go there, and it's all that ramped up to 11 sort of thing. So there's obviously won't give any spoilers because it's linked. If you played the game, a lot of it kind of clicked in straight away. But I think you could probably go in afresh with never playing it and go straight there and be like, what the fuck is going on? Because but if you've been there, like you don't feel lost, or it's like you don't feel like you're being led. But yeah, you there's a lot of the druidy stuff, and there's a lot about the history, like something happened in like the 1600s, and these monks and how they interpreted the event that happened, that similar to what's called the wind scale issue, which is what happened in the main crux of the game. So you play through it all and you figure out what's going on 400, 500 years ago and stuff. And there's some eerie shit going on. It's just cool. It just adds to the thing. It works really well. They've woven it into the main island. It's not really separated, so there's some stuff we have to go back to the main island and do some exploring. So if you were playing the full game, you would be still connected to all the stuff you found, and it didn't feel disjointed. Because I think I said last time when we're talking about our picks of the year so far, what I really liked about Atomfall is that you explore an area, get everything you can out of it, and some of it might not make any sense at that point, and then you go to the next area and you're like, oh shit, okay, I'm doing something here. And it felt like that still applies, so you could still. I explored the whole of the island, and I was like, I have to go back to the mainland now and go explore the rest of it and mop it all up as I go through, and it just worked really well. But I'm at the end. I've got like 2 endings. There's 3 endings in the game, I think, in the DLC, and I think I've done one of them. I'm on the cusp of the second one by the rehearsal, so I couldn't finish it, and I just got to the third one after that. So yeah, it was really good. Really enjoyed it. So would thoroughly recommend. Yeah, it's been good fun.
Yeah,
I'm glad to go back and see more.
Yeah, glad you've had more of your one of your. I'm going to assume it's going to be in your like top 5 or so games of this year, unless something drastically shifts over the next 6 months. But I'm glad there's more of it. And again, I've enjoyed my time, but I need to go back to it. I think we've said that before on the podcast. Yeah, it's one of those games I need to go back to, having started it and really enjoyed what I've played. But also, what can we expect from you as far as maybe are you going to do a little review on here for us when you finish, or is there going to be a little write-up maybe on this DLC, or are you just going to just talk about it here?
I hadn't thought about doing a review for the DLC because it doesn't feel as substantial as like Shadow of the Erdtree or Lies of P Overture.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
But equally, it's still because I don't. Yeah, I might do. I don't know, but I've definitely got. I've got a guide I can do. So you find some more gnomes, and I've logged them all. I learned from Spirit of the North to log them as you go.
There you go.
I can easily do it, but yeah, I might do. But I would recommend doing it, and I can imagine like the achievement percentages are really low because DLC in it. So if they pay for it, you get a low return on it. But it's the game's in Game Pass. The whole expansion pass thing or whatever. It's like I think it was like 20 quid. So support the devs and all that. But yeah, I recommend.
Very good.
What I really like is you learn more about some of the kind of characters that are in the middle, like the voice on the phone, the telephone boxes on the Wicked Isle as well. So like he's there and like whatever that voice is, you start to learn more. You kind of feel like you learn more about it. It feels a bit more. There's more character in him. Like it's I don't want to give too much away, but there's like a point where he was almost like quite jolly in one of the phone calls I had. Like that's unusual. That was weird for the voice on the phone. I really liked it. It was really cool. So yeah.
Very good. V, what have you been playing?
I've not been playing a huge amount this week. I've been very busy with work and site stuff and things like that. So I have played a little bit more of Crown Gambit, which I think I spoke about last week, which is very fun. I'm very much coming to terms with the fact that maybe I am too dumb to play certain games very well, but I've not completely found myself at a roadblock yet. But and also in a bit of preparation for Girl Pod, I have been playing a game called AI, the Somnium Files, the Nirvana Institute, which is sort of like a detective sort of visual novel style game. It's a sequel to a game called AI, the Somnium Files, where you have to try and solve a case of killings of people who are getting one of their eyes gouged out. So it's called like the Cyclops Killer. But the way that they do them is there's like there's branching paths to the narrative, but you can only unlock the path once you go so far down another one. So you get to a certain point by solving the mysteries and going into people's memories and things like that. And then you can't go any further that way. So you go back to like a key point in the story, and then you take it up a different ways to see what happened if you chose a different thing. But you have to do all of the paths in order to get to like the true ending of the game. So it's not just, oh, this is what could have happened. Here's like an optional decision and things like that. It's you have to do all the branching paths in order to actually figure out who the murderer was at the end, which I think is quite interesting. And the second one obviously has that same mechanic. I will say it's an incredibly like anime game. So the first one, you have like a little AI companion called Aiba, who is in the second one, and she's very cute. She's like sort of like anime, like waifu sort of material. But in the second one, you have a new AI companion called Tama, and she's a different type of anime waifu material, as a woman who would absolutely step on you, and you can dress her up in a little a little room that you can go in, where you also get AI therapy, where you can say like, oh, I'm not happy with my job or something like that, and her response will be to fill your boss's desk with pornography so that they get fired and you don't get a bad performance review. But
Yeah.
it's very wild. I think it's I don't know if anyone's ever played like Danganronpa or anything like that, but it's along a sort of similar vein of, this is just a really strange little game. And I love the first one, and the second one I'm also really enjoying. So I'm excited to get further into that and try and solve the mystery of how you can find two halves of the same man 6 years apart, but the time of death on each half is different. So yeah, it's very fun. It is one of those games that you have to do a bit of suspension of disbelief about some of the plot points. There's a few sort of like sci-fi elements and stuff like that to it, but it's super, super fun. And as for what I'm going to be playing this week, I currently don't think I'm reviewing anything for the site that I can talk about, but I have bought like 7 games on the Steam Summer Sale. And it's getting worse, and people keep talking to me about things, and I'm like, oh, it's only £2 on the Steam Summer Sale. I will have to add it to my cart, and then look at the cart, and then in moments of weakness, usually when I've had a beer or like a glass of wine, I'm like, oh, fine, I'll just buy it then. I'll just buy it. So I actually did that. I bought 3 games on Saturday, and then just sat with my Steam Deck in bed having a bit of a lie-in and played all the way through that. Thank Goodness You're Here, which is a fantastic little game,
yeah.
and would highly recommend if you're looking for just a little snack game that's very funny, very specifically British funny. There is an option to play it in like regional dialect or in English with subtitles, because you're not going to understand what's going on. But I think you should always go for the regional dialect, even if you don't quite get it, because it's part of the charm. But it's a great little game. So yeah, that's what I have been doing this week. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, it sounds like everyone's been playing a lot of great games, which is fantastic, and a nice variety as always. And yeah, I've been busy playing games. I've been playing. I played Lost in Random: The Eternal Die, which I wrote a review for, and it's up on the site, which you can check out. That is a sort of action roguelite based in the world of Random from the original game Lost in Random. This is a direct sequel, but with a change in gameplay, change in main character. And yeah, I had a good time with it. Again, it's obviously trying to go for that same sort of feeling that you were talking about with Night Rain Atomfall, that sort of like just one more run. And I think it does that pretty well. It's got some good upgrading systems as far as both like temporary for the run as well as going back and like permanently upgrading yourself for future runs to go forward. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. Wouldn't say it was necessarily the best sort of sequel to the first game. I really, really loved the first Lost in Random game. I really enjoyed the type of gameplay there, as well as the actual like story. I thought was a lot stronger with the first one. But yeah, check out my review for a full sort of write up on my feelings on that. And the other game I played for myself, because it was in my PlayStation library of games I've gotten with PS Plus, was a game called Wavetale, which I then realized was also made by the same team that made Lost in Random: The Eternal Die, funny enough, or at least it was another Thunderfall game, which was a fun coincidence. And that's a third-person sort of traversal-based game where you're kind of like in a sort of water world environment. You're a young girl called Sigrid with her grandmother, and you're trying to help people deal with like this like awful mist that's sort of clouding the world, and like fog basically, and there's pirates involved, and this huge snake pollution creature, and you're bouncing across the waves by being able to basically stand on the souls of some sort of like water nymph creature that resembles you quite a lot, that's underneath you. So as you move, it moves underneath you. There's a lovely moment where they first meet and that starts to happen, and then you go into gameplay and you're just walking on water as if you were Jesus, which is quite fun. But yeah, really, really fun traversal gameplay. That's what it's really about, like jumping off the waves at the right time to catch the air and get that extra boost that allows you to then, sort of then plunge deep underwater, which leads to this wonderful animation where they kind of swim round each other before the water version of you kind of shoots you back up out of the water again. And yeah, loved it for that. The traversal platforming is great. It's got some combat in there for really no good reason other than to have something for you to do whilst you're on land. I would have much rather they'd focused on more traversal based stuff. Maybe had like more side things to do with like races and things. There's a couple of bits like that, but not much. But no, it was a really good time. Really enjoyed that. So yeah, if you're into your traversal games, if you're into that sort of stuff, getting into like a bit of a flow state and that sort of stuff, then yeah, I believe, yeah, Wavetail, that's correct. But yeah, I think that's everything from me. And yeah, I think we'll roll into the news segment, which of course is going to be us talking about the Xbox situation, the layoffs that have occurred, which have led to a huge shakeup, at least in Xbox and the studios. And to clarify, sorry, yeah, this is obviously Microsoft. Sorry, these are the layoffs that are happening across Microsoft as a company, not just Xbox. This is over 9,000 layoffs that have occurred that we are aware of, at least, and it is about 4% of the business. To give you an idea of the scale of Microsoft, but also to kind of give you an idea of just how much is happening. And yes, we have a little short list here to remind ourselves of, unfortunately, all the damage that has occurred. If does anybody have that to hand? I would hate to miss anything off.
I've got it here. If nobody else has got it, but we should
yeah.
you should have like a and then go through the list. But
in memoriam, yeah.
In memoriam, yeah.
Dear.
On the list, in no particular order, it's just the order that's written. Everwild has been cancelled. Perfect Dark has been cancelled. The Initiative studio, which was open specifically to work on the Perfect Dark reboot, has been closed. An unannounced ZeniMax MMO cancelled. The studio head Matt Freerow has left, resigned. Funding for a non-Xbox Game Studios game cancelled. So Romero Games has lost the funding for their upcoming first-person shooter, which has then resulted in the studio closing and lots of people losing their jobs. Turn 10, the makers of Forza Motorsport, are losing 50% of their staff. Numerous other studios have lost staff, including some working on Call of Duty. I think the Halo studio has lost five people. I think we lost from there. I think Compulsion was hit, from what I'd seen online as well, from people just saying, "I've lost my job as well." Sea of Thieves and Banjo director leaves Rare after 35 years. I think he chose to leave rather than being fired.
That's correct. Yeah, Greg Mayles is the gentleman's name. Yeah, he's been at Rare for 35 years, and he's the guy who he designed Banjo-Kazooie. He did Donkey Kong Country, Viva Pinata, and was the creative director of Sea of Thieves. So he has been there for every major element of Rare's 40-year history, and this is all happening on their 40th anniversary.
And although nothing has been confirmed either way as yet, it has been noted that Contraband, the announced game in 2021 by Avalanche Studios, the trailer has been taken off of Xbox's YouTube, which is leading people to think that that's probably going as well, although has yet to be confirmed to be cancelled. So and there are obviously there's some more detail behind all of that, but that's kind of they're the highlights that Mark had helpfully put together. So thank you for that.
So it's highlights the correct word for.
Yeah.
It's semantic, probably, yes. But
yeah.
Yes.
More of a hit list, something like that, I guess you might say.
The headlines. These are
The headlines, yeah.
Yeah.
So, a huge amount has happened in a very short amount of time. Obviously, as far as how these things work, this would have been going on for more than likely a few weeks behind the scenes, obviously, not just amongst the heads of studios and things like that. There would have been noise probably already around the studios, so that some of them would have been aware of this going on, but would have not known that they were up for the chopping block, as it were. So yeah, this has no doubt obviously been, I would imagine, at least a few weeks, if not a month or so, of highly strong work environments and a difficult time for a lot of people. Then finishing with this really awful situation where over 9,000 people have lost their jobs, impacting not just them, but their families and loved ones. In an industry that, for whatever reason, still the digital industry still has people move their whole lives across countries, across the world, in order for these jobs to occur, when we could all be working remotely doing this sort of thing, which is absolute nonsense. It's just bizarre. But also, again, will impact those studios as well, the people who are still there at these studios that are still around, of course. They will be dealing with the losing of co-workers, friends, people that some of them, they may have been working together for years, decades even, and it's not going to be a simple matter of like this has now happened and everything just carries on as normal. Of course, there'll be certain other studios that have maybe not been hit. I don't think word was said about things like Double Fine or Arcane. I'm not sure if anything about Arcane was like that. But again, it doesn't have to happen directly to you as a studio either to have an impact. And I could only imagine that across the camp over at Xbox, there is a very, very dark cloud hanging over everyone. And we wish all of those people the best of luck, and who have lost their jobs and their livelihoods. And we hope that they're able to find something. And again, Xbox has done its due diligence with its lip service of saying that they've done their best to find positions for them within the company, no doubt making them interview for these roles again, and all manner of things. And yeah, it's never something that's easy or fun to talk about it, but we would be remiss in ignoring it or avoiding it. It would be disrespectful and it'd be distasteful to do that. So we did want to talk about it, if anything, just to obviously voice our feelings, which will no doubt be pretty unanimous, I think, with a lot of other podcasts and outlets and stuff like that. We've seen it from us already in our reporting, but also across the media sphere. I don't know who wants to particularly take the take the stage for anything at the moment, or soapbox, whatever preferred piece of furniture you'd like. But
well, I think it's worth highlighting that this is the latest round of layoffs, and what is because I looked it up today, like the highest amount of layoffs in the video game industry sort of ever. So from 2022 to 2025, an estimated 35,000 people have lost their job in the gaming industry across multiple businesses. Like last year, we saw Sony get rid of, like, I think it was 50% of Ben's studio and things like that. Embracer Group have shut down whole studios. Microsoft have been very prolific with it. And the messaging of it is always pretty horrendous, specifically from the Microsoft side. So obviously there was a mass investment into the gaming industry sort of mid-COVID because people were at home and they were playing a lot of games. So like all big business, they're like, we'll throw money at it. And then as soon as there's like a slight downturn, because a year later people were no longer stuck in their homes, they're like, oh wait, we're not making as much money as we did last year. So line doesn't perpetually go up. So we're going to have to get rid of people. Never anyone at the top, But I mean, obviously they've got very, very important jobs. They have to write emails saying, we're doing the best we've ever done. I'm really sorry you have to lose your job though. Which I think is, pretty horrendous messaging that came out after it, specifically from the Xbox leadership team, Microsoft Gaming leadership. There was really no reason for statements to be made that were made. And it's not going to make any of these people that lost their jobs feel any better. And it doesn't mean that gamers feel any better about we're not going to get a lot of good games that we thought we were going to get. And I think it really just speaks to maybe the instability and unsustainability of the current state of AAA gaming. Games take so long to develop now. So Perfect Dark was announced in 2018. So we were going on almost like 10 years of development, because it was not scheduled to come, and they restarted development on it in 2021 or 2022, I believe. But gaming trends shift so much quicker than that. We saw it with the Sony live service pivot. So it's like, we're going to do everything live service. So they bought Bungie, and then Bungie's revenue dropped by like 17% the year after Sony bought them. So they laid off like 20% of that studio. And then they were like, oh, we're going to cancel all of our live service. We're going to re-pivot back to single player games. It's like, these studios are never going to get a chance to make anything. So they can't do the output, so they can't do any ROI. And then they're going to get shuttered, even if they make a good game or they drop something. You think about Tango, like Hi-Fi Rush. I'm not sure about the figures on it or anything, but there just doesn't seem to be any like realistic view from the boards and stuff on how to handle gaming as a service when you're talking about long-term developments versus profit margins. It's just like, we've bought, like, obviously definitely a conversation to be had about the ROI they would be expecting on Activision Blizzard King, and whether or not there's a little bit more scrutiny on that area of the business due to that. But I'm not sure if that is that much of a factor, given we're seeing this across the entire industry. But yeah, they've obviously spread themselves really thin, not really thought about the fact that games take ages to develop now, especially AAA games, the things that people expect from AAA games, and don't want to get into the cost of games debate, but maybe it is worth revisiting in the future. We're not seeing these sorts of mass layoffs at Nintendo. They have a significantly smaller workforce. I think they only employ about 7,000 staff worldwide.
I think it's 8,000, something like that. So yeah. The comparison that the more people got sacked from Microsoft today than the entire people who work at Nintendo.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did a post. This was, I think, at the very end of last year. I did an article based off of some research I saw someone had done on Blue Sky, and just on social media they posted it, which was tracking the amount of layoffs in the games industry from, like, I think 2021 or 2022. And I wrote an article about it, and again, I'll drop it below. But based off of that, I did a tweet, which was or a post online saying, to kind of put into perspective for people who were like, you hear about these layoffs happening all across different size studios and things like that. Some get shuttered, some just change in size and all that, so some restructuring and all the rest of it. And I can't remember exactly what it was. I don't think I'll be able to find it. I can try to, but otherwise it was the equivalent of basically, like, in 2021, the amount of layoffs was the equivalent of us losing like Capcom and Konami, and then in 2022 is the equivalent of losing Nintendo and like Activision, and then in 2023 was the equivalent of us losing Xbox, and then it was the equivalent of us. You know what I mean? It was just like, if it happened in that way, people would have been freaking out about this so much more, just because it would have been such a big deal for them to see like these huge names that they recognize and think are like almost sort of like monoliths that'll last forever, And obviously we can talk about like the things that have happened with Sega and stuff like that, but Sega's still here. They're able to still exist and carry on. So for a lot of people, things like the gaming crash is so far away now that it's a distant memory. They don't. A lot of people don't know what it's like to actually lose this stuff, and now we're seeing a lot more of it actually affecting all manner of studios still, obviously across the board, but in ways that I think now more people, more of a broader audience is now seeing and feeling, and are now being worried about, well, am I going to get that game I was looking forward to? Because okay, the studio that is making it may have not been directly affected now, but what does that mean for them when the game comes out and it does fine, but not as well as it was meant to, and that sort of thing. Like, what then? But yeah, sorry,
There's the thing though, isn't it? There's like, because I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm not conflicted is the wrong word, because it's obviously horrendous for 9,000 people to lose their job. Like, there's no one losing a job is a good thing. But I think that what you said there, Harry, is that there's a reality that people don't understand, that this is, and every so often these sorts of things come up and people go, well, they're a business ultimately, and they're all about money, and this is how business works. Not saying it's right, obviously, but if you're looking at, and this is where the converse, because I am, to sound like a knobhead, but I'm currently doing a leadership course, and there's a lot of conversation around, like, this is I work in healthcare, so it's slightly different, but it's about if something's not working, where someone needs to make a decision and stop it. Now, we don't know that the game we're looking forward to was going to be good.
Sure.
That we can hope it's going to be good, and there's a lot of conversation online around Perfect Dark. Was it real footage? It was real footage with a bit of fakery in there to kind of, this is what we're expecting it to be and all that sort of stuff. But like, what if it didn't come off? Like, if the developers who had seen it, if Phil Spencer had gone to see it, and all of the investors and stuff like that said, you've been working on this game for 10 years, we've rebooted it once, we've got a support team in, and it's still not great. Given the Redfall conversation and how that impacted, like, what was the conversation like around, AAA releases and £80 for that game and all that sort of stuff? As a business, bottom line, all that sort of stuff, are they going to want to release a game that's not going to be, like V was saying about the return on investment sort of stuff? Like, there's got to be a point where you go, actually, this is going to be if this is another 5 years out, do we carry on with this? At some point, someone's making a decision. Whether it's the right decision or not, I don't know. But like, there is something around this reality, and there are those decisions that have to be made. In theory, a $3 trillion company probably could get away with it. But do you know what I mean? There's but they have got 40 games in development. Like, people like were talking like the world was collapsing yesterday, and like it wasn't great. Like, in terms of the gaming around what Xbox looked like, the people, the 9,000 people is horrendous, and that's fucking awful for those people. And I hope they land on their feet and get some jobs somewhere, and they get to do it. Love, maybe open loads of indie studios and do some cool shit. Like, man, go for it.
Yeah.
But like, if people like you say worried about the games that were coming out and stuff like that, there's loads coming out. Like, but if Everwild and Perfect Dark and Contraband turn out to be, after all this time, shit, then they've done us a favour. We just don't know it, because we're seeing it from this. Oh, they've cancelled it, and I was looking forward to it, so therefore they're terrible. Like, yes, they are, because they've canned a load of people doing it, but that's not fair. But the game might not be a thing. Like with Scalebound, we don't know that Scalebound was going to be good. We just like the look of it. It could have been terrible. Like, who knows? We'll never know. But there's that whole, I really like the look of it, vibe with it. I love Perfect Dark, and the original was amazing. One of my favourite games ever. But, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not saying that that's all right. I'm just saying that this is the reality we live in.
No.
There's a recalibration of what.
Yeah. I think
what
you're right.
customers need to expect from the gaming industry.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And this is the thing is, like, this is also like such a compounded conversation, because there's, again, so many different elements to this, because again, there's like the whole thing to do with like AI and Microsoft's own push into that, and the fact that that's going to be part of the reason behind all this as well, because no doubt investors and stuff at the top are saying, like, well, why on earth are we paying all these people? Just put the AI in. You said the AI could do the job. but also
I see loads of bolds, italics, and M dashes in my fucking video game dialogue. If you think when you send an AI generated email, people can't fucking tell, then it is proof that AI rots your fucking brain. Like,
exactly. It's scientifically proven. But also, like, going back to what we were talking about, though, and I think we should stick more to this sort of stuff, because the AI thing that's a whole other hour-long podcast that we can do another time if we wanted to. But this time, let's stick to the closer bits. I think the more tangible stuff. One thing in particular is I think, obviously, the how and games are marketed is in such a way where they're revealing stuff to us when the game isn't even made yet. You know, it's the Elder Scrolls 6 splash screen, you know, being used as a way to be like, hey, it exists. Like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't exist, and it shouldn't be told to us until it does, in a form that's like, this can't not make it to market. You know, now. Whether it's gone gold or whatever, like Hell is Us, for example, like, you know, that only went gold, what was it, yesterday or the day before, or something like that. Like, we may have not heard about Hell is Us until then, and that probably wouldn't be a bad thing for the game, because it's the beginning of July. They would have had a couple of months. They could have put it into October maybe if they wanted to, and they would have had plenty of time to build up marketing and buzz and all the rest of it. But we're hearing about these games years before we should be. Everwild being, you know, the worst example of that at Xbox, certainly, because it's 10 years it was in development. We heard about it for 7, you know, but it was in development for 10 years, and it's like, that's my favorite studio. That is the one that hurts the most to me. And it's not because necessarily we're not going to get Everwild, but it's the idea of, as you said, like, no one stopped and thought, maybe we should just stop with Everwild and move on to the next thing. This clearly isn't working. Let's do something else. Work on something else. That's fine. Do a smaller project, you know, whatever it might be.
And the cons is easier if you're not revealing it so early.
Exactly.
The game. If you, like, you know, these unannounced projects, no one makes the same hurrah around these unannounced projects. Like, oh, the company has stopped working on a couple of projects. You might, like, there's a lot of speculation about what it could have been or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, the nature of projects are that sometimes they don't work. Like, you take it down an avenue and, like, actually that's not going to end up, that's not how he thought it was going to be. But you've announced it, so you've got to then make a public thing and going, oh, by the way, that thing we said we were going to do at the Sound of the Ace, we're not doing that now. But then you've got a whole PR thing, haven't you? Fallout 4 is still the best example of an announcement to a release. It was announced at E3 and released in November. That's like perfect, isn't it? It was a big
because
surprise.
That's what Bethesda always used to do, because they were very traditional at that, being obviously a PC developer originally. That was the way it was done. That was just how it was handled by nearly everybody across the industry. And some still do, like, you know, obviously Nintendo is a great one for it still, you know, in particular. And a lot of the Japanese publishers and developers still kind of play it that way, most of the time at least. And there are so many games that we don't hear about that, you know, will be cancelled or shelved and stuff like that. And, you know, we won't get upset about it because we don't know. And that's happening with all of these places all the time. But seeing it on this sort of scale, seeing it so open, and seeing it happen with things that we have known about for so long, it just smacks of all manner of things, like from mismanagement to just sort of a lack of understanding from the top, looking down on who's actually making these things and what is required for this stuff to happen. Mark, I want to get you involved, obviously, because we haven't heard from you yet. Please chime in.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you said, and anything I'm going to say is not defending Microsoft at all. And probably going a bit further on a couple of points. So, I mean, I've been following Xbox very closely for the last 20 years, and then this is definitely one of the lows, and there's been many of them. I think one of the things that to think about really is there's always been a narrative for the last kind of 12 years since Xbox One came out of Xbox has no games. That is just in every comment section on every YouTube video. That's not the case anymore. Xbox does have games, like Harry said. Adam said there's about 40 games in development at Xbox Game Studios. That's insane. You know, that is the result of intense acquisition, which I don't think they're handling very well at all. But there's a lot in there. And you look at things like Redfall, which were just awful. Starfield came and went. No one really cares for that anymore. Forza Motorsport, which used to be a real big seller. You know, 50% of the workforce have gone there, and you know that's a real shame. But the game hasn't delivered, and not many people are talking about that because it's been replaced by Horizon, and that's more mass market appeal. That makes more business sense. So I think that there is quite a bit of business sense here. And I think they've probably now realised they've bitten off more than they can chew with all these acquisitions. And now they're in the stage where they're trying to rationalise and consolidate all their efforts into games that are going to work. I think that's probably what they're doing behind the scenes. We're all here theorising, but none of us create games. We don't know what it's like. But, I think that's probably one of the things that's going on behind the scenes. You've seen EA do it. You see Ubisoft doing it. But I think to probably go a bit further, I think this is largely a result of the industry is eating itself alive in so many ways. I seen an article today that IGN had posted, and I think it was something that some research that the Wall Street Journal had done, and young Americans are spending like 25% less money and time on games these days. The audience are moving on. There's so much more to do. Now the world's moved on from COVID. We've discussed that. But also, we know that people play less and less games now, and a lot of those are free to play. That's not to say that the chasing of free to play trends is the right thing to do. We've already touched on Sony that fucked up big time in going after that. But I think less might be more in terms of what games are in production. I've recently got a Steam Deck. I've opened my eyes to a whole new library of games which I've never had access to before, which is great. Still haven't created any more time to play them. So, people have limited time for all this stuff. And when games that are free and accessible are generally very good quality, I play a hell of a lot of Call of Duty Warzone, and that could have never cost me a penny to play. I think the industry is just eating itself alive. And, you look at what games were in development here. Perfect Dark, it's an old franchise that people who probably loved it back in the day, 25% of those people are still playing video games in this age. A lot of people move on with life and they don't play games. Everwild, not many people outside of the gaming kind of circles like we're in probably ever even heard of it. You know what? I think some of these decisions, although really unfortunate, I think they do make a lot of business sense. That said, again, not defending where we're at, but I absolutely backing up what Adam said about, sometimes you just have to take stock of what you've got and then focus on the key ones that are going to actually get you where you need to be.
I've just done some quick math on my very basic spreadsheet because I haven't even put a total column in there, so more for me. But because I had a column for the showcases during Summer Game Fest of how many titles were shown, and all of across the 20 whatever shows, there's 2 we didn't cover specifically. And I've totaled 900 games across those shows ish, and one of those showcases I didn't cover was 4 hours long, and that's the reason I didn't cover it, because it was 4 fucking hours.
Yeah.
How many games are going to be shown in there? I absolutely agree. I mean, I've said this about showcases, fucking spread them out, but equally make fucking games. I can't do 10 fucking 100-hour epics. I want to play Death Stranding 2. I want to play Death Stranding. I want to play Anthem because it's shutting down in January. 60 to 80 hours to complete. What? Time for this. Come on. I want to play them.
Yeah.
I just start and stop so many games because there's just so much out there. And there's DLC. I mean, it's great. More content for the games you love. But if you like a lot of games and genres, you're fucked. Because if you just play Call of Duty or FIFA or Fortnite, you're fine, aren't you? Because that's all you play. If you love gaming and you like loads of genres and loads of different things, every time we talk, there's something new. There's a new game I've never heard of, new type of game, and that's great. I don't want to play Bambas, obviously. It sounds horrendous. From a hand's perspective, not from just the claws. It reminded me of when I played Guitar Hero 2 when it first came out, and I bought it and I played 13 hours at uni, and I had a claw hand. I couldn't undo my hand because I played 13 hours at Guitar Hero 2. But they just want to play everything because it all looks so good. But yeah, there's just no time. I absolutely agree. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's absolutely oversaturation of the market, and there is like the consumer perception that we see a lot on things like Twitter, especially, that indie games are worth less or AAA games are slop or whatever. And I think we also need to not give these people the airtime that they get. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it does need to was it 18,000 games came out last year on Steam?
Yeah.
It's a lot of games. Unfortunately, not every single one is going to be successful. Not because they're not good, but because there's a massive saturation in the market. I mean, the actual economics of the industry are looking relatively stable. Just having a look at them, but yeah, there are going to be cancellations and things. I think it is about managing the expectations of consumers instead. So we don't announce things 10 years. We don't announce things when it's just an idea on a piece of paper or just a title on a spreadsheet. But also, having workers' protections and stuff and like that in place for the people that actually work in the industry that we love. It's like the least unionized industry, one of the least unionized industries in entertainment and things like that. So, yeah, it's such a complicated topic, and it would be so easy to simplify it right down to just be like big exec bad, which I do agree with, generally speaking. But there is global economic factors. We are hurtling towards a recession. There's too many games to play. My backlog is like 4,900 hours long. There is consumer expectations, the fact that computer processors are moving quicker and quicker, so consoles become more out of date quicker and quicker. People have less money. It's an expensive hobby, and the people at the top want to see the line go up, which is difficult.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a point you were saying about the people stuff. It goes back to that business thing as well, because like this if you buy £68 billion worth of studios, you're gonna get a lot of fucking people, right? But then when you start to, like you said, Harry, like streamlining and seeing where people can help each other out and where things are working and where things aren't working and stuff, you'd be like, shit, I don't need 17 community managers.
No.
Like, that's not great, obviously, but like that is the sort of thing that happens, and that's the unfortunate consequence of doing these sorts of buys. And that happens, regardless of which studio you buy, there may be duplication. And as V said, if they were all unionized and there was better worker protections, there'd be probably better things to say. Well, let's find you another role. Let's put you somewhere else. Let's not lose you. Let's make something work. But unfortunately, especially in like America, it's gone. You found out today. You found out because you couldn't log into your Slack account, not because you were told you're losing your job or anything like that, or you were given 45 days notice, or like I might be losing my job in the new year, and there's a process, there's consultation and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But like I'm not happy about it, and there's loads of people who are affected. Like we have to cut our workforce by 50% in my organisation because of but the reasoning for it is sound. Like there's a lot of duplication. We want to make sure that the things are working effectively. We're using public money properly. All that sort of stuff. Like all of that I agree with. But the way you do it is the issue, isn't it? It's about just cutting 9,000 people loose who find out on the morning that is happening is fucking awful. Like, and across the board, any scenario, whichever company you are, that's not the way to do it. They have some compassion for people. Because like you said, Harry, they've got families, they've got lives, mortgages, children, etc. It's just not right. But that expectation of what happens if you've overhired because of COVID, and you need to lose people, there's no easy way to do that. And not that that's the right way to do that, or that's the right thing to do, but if that's the thing, again, a 3.4 whatever trillion dollar company can probably handle it. That's what really unsettles me though, because all of this is like, they could probably take the hit. They're probably all right. Do you know what I mean? It's not like they're sat on $3.4 trillion. I don't think that's what that means. But like, do you know what I mean? It feels like Scrooge McDuckian at this point. He has a vault of money, and he's just like, can you not? Can you just?
Yeah. we look at all the financial reports that come out whenever Microsoft do their financial reports are generally public for all these big companies. So you can go and download the entire financial and shareholder investment thing. So it'll be interesting to see how much Satya is getting in his fucking compensation package and shares and stocks and dividends, etc. Because I'm pretty sure it could have covered some of those 9,000 jobs. Like
80 million a year and then bonuses and whatever else or something, isn't it? It's obscene. Obscene. But then they're getting into the whole down with capitalism conversation, and that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, that's not the gamer social. Like there could be a special episode.
Yeah.
New pod, GSC down with capitalism.
GSC Red Edition.
Yeah.
But this is it. Like this is a conversation we could easily do for another hour, and I would like to, under certain circumstances, absolutely. Maybe we should do another one, a follow up in some way. We can dig into a bit more of this. And I agree with everybody. That's the thing. Like what we've, I think, all brought to the table is a very level-headed approach to this, where we recognize the human element of it alongside the business element of it, and why these things work the way they do. Some of this definitely could have been avoided with better management. That is, I think, a very easy answer you can slap on this. That, you know, as I said in this example, Everwild shouldn't have been developed for 10 years. You would have still lost people when you stopped it 5 years ago, but you probably would have lost less. And you probably wouldn't have lost Greg Mayles as your creative director. And to be honest, that's one of those things as well with this in particular, where I think it has that extra sting in the tail, because you've got Louise O'Connor and Greg Mayles from Rare. You've got John Romero, the man who made Doom. And then Firor, the creative director and lead on Elder Scrolls Online. All gone. All that talent, alongside the other 9,000 plus people who all had their own skill sets and experience and that as well. Like, all those people are gone from your company. You may hire some back, you may move them around a little bit, all this sort of jazz. But it raises the question in an industry where it is so hard to start again as a small entity and build up. Like, how many of these people will stay in the industry? How many of them will continue to work in games? Or will we lose their talents? Then those experienced people are no longer there to help train up the new people that they'll no doubt hire for cheaper. They'll be hiring less of them as well. As I've said, the AI thing's going to be, excuse me, coming into this as well. It's just so compounded. It's so messy. And Xbox has done an awful job of handling it with the messaging, not just with what they've said today, but with the fact that you had Phil Spencer on podcasts talking about how he was so happy with the state of Everwild. He just visited Rare recently and was really happy with how they're progressing. And that was months. That was this year. That was in 2025. He said that. It's that level of, like, you know.
You don't know. We don't know. This is the problem, isn't it? We don't know who made that decision, do we?
No, and it probably wasn't him.
You've got to think, like, what are the optics of somebody going to play a game, put it out publicly? Oh yeah, I played it, it was great, and then months later going, fuck it, it's all right, it's canned. Like,
yeah.
Gaming's the only industry though that we expect to hear from these levels of exec at that level of a company. Like,
it's true.
You don't have like execs from other big businesses going out specifically talking to the consumer. They talk to their investors, they talk to their shareholders. Like, you don't get to a level of that. I'm not going to make any extreme judgments about execs' characters or anything like that, but you don't get to that level unless you're pretty comfortable making these business decisions. I mean, I don't talk about it very often, but I work for a massive company. Not Microsoft levels of massive, but, you know, the people at the exec level are nice enough to talk to in the office and things like that. But if they were told by investors that the share price goes down, you're no longer a person, you're a number on a bit of paper, and the line must go up. But our exec doesn't talk directly to our consumer base. Like, it's the only industry in the world where we expect that level of engagement to be like, oh, but they're such a nice guy. And I'm not saying Phil Spencer's not a nice guy. It could be, I don't know the man, I've never met him. But, like, you know, it's like, what are we expecting here from these people that we've never met who make business decisions that we don't understand for a company that has more money than fucking God? To then be like, oh yeah, well, but they said this, and it's like, yeah, but that's their job.
I find it so frustrating because like my job is entirely about what a community manager would do. It's all about talking with the people who use your service about the service, about what's good, what's bad, what could get better. Can you imagine sitting down with some of the pricks online and asking them what, like, to work with them? But the problem is that because there's this commercialized messaging, no one directly addresses. Very rarely you get an internet broke meme viral moment where somebody gets absolutely slammed for being a tit. But like, generally speaking, no one, and this is a big thing for me, is you need to be honest and transparent about where we're at and where we do stuff. And when people try to read between the lines and interpret stuff, go, no, that's not it. Shut the fuck up. You're wrong. Stop causing drama and bullshit because it's toxic and it makes things worse. And because there's probably a thing of don't talk to them, we'll put out a message and we'll put our fingers in their ears. They probably didn't even see half the people who comment on it. And the companies who do see it either have mental breakdowns or they have good community managers who really engage with them. And that's like whenever I see a community manager like getting laid off or like thing, I really feel for them because it's like, well, because there's not a value in listening to the people who use your product. Now, sure, in whatever walk of life you have, there'll be people you don't want to listen to. But if you engage with your community properly, you can have proper dialogue because you can challenge when they're wrong. Like, I'm not saying they're just misinterpretation. It might be like, but some people just willingly, you know what I mean? But like, that's the thing, and there should be that willingness to do it because it's interactive. Gaming is interactive, so that people, I suppose, gamers are maybe wired to think in that way, and they just kind of interact as much as they can, and we should embrace that. But they don't, do they? Like, but
it's all marketing at the end of the day.
We'd also have, you know, oh, I don't like it, make like you did before, hundreds and hundreds of times. So you know, there's a difference between that and let developers make the game they want to make. Because if you got too many cooks, is what I wanted to clarify. I don't want the whole everybody involved in tweaking everything you want to make ever, because then it goes shit as well, because then you're just not making the game you want to make. So, but yeah, tricky balance, lots of elements. Fucking hell.
I just on that, I play an awful lot of Call of Duty, and the community for Call of Duty is absolutely balmy. So there's always like the hype for the game in and out. It's hype when the game comes out, and then it falls off a cliff. It's a standard COD cycle. And every single time that the community are asking for something, the developers will always kind of counter that, say, if we implemented this, the data shows that you would not play the game. And I think as kind of gamers, we are probably entitled, I think would be the right word. Probably unwelcome thing to be known as, but we're definitely entitled. You're right, we like the sound of our own voices, and we always think we're right on what we want with the game. But I think a lot of the time the reality is that we don't. And I think that is just something, you know, we're very vocal because it's our hobby, it's our passion. But we're also, you know, we're probably like that outside of other hobbies as well. And you know, just in general life, we think we're right about a lot of things, but we're just not. And that's fine. We just don't really understand kind of the decisions that need to be made to keep us engaged, keep us loving what we do. I think community managing is excellent, but also I think it kind of creates a counter problem where we're given another place to air our thoughts and opinions, and we expect something to be done from it. Whereas the reality is that always shouldn't happen. With, you know, games need to have that creative integrity. They need to be made as they're meant to be, with community, with support from people that are going to, you know, the consumer. But also, you know, I don't think we always really know what is right for the product that we're actually going to pay for at the end of the day. I think that's a key thing, and definitely a big thing in the COD community that I'm certainly part of.
Yeah, I mean, I think that as a rule is just true when it comes to it. Obviously, you know, it flies in the face of the classic. The customer's always right, but that was never true in the first place. And with video games, it certainly isn't. Just because, yeah, we'll ask for something. We want it how it was. We want something new. At every time, we'll still find reason to be upset about it. And yeah, I think we'll wind this down, but at the same time, there is a lot tied up in this as far as I think like video games as a history of how they were treated, how they were perceived as a medium, as an art form, or not perceived as that sort of thing. The sort of rap it had for a certain period of time, people having to come out of that, and it finally being embraced in a broader scope and things like that. And what you have is basically a situation where, unlike film, where it was very distant, it was very far away from us, and it was never something that we were like able to really have a tangible kind of feel for. Video games started in such a grassroots sort of way, where it was people working in their home offices making games, literally they're copying them onto CDs or floppy disks, and then taking them and putting them on the shelves physically in in a plastic bag with the title written on it in pen. That's how it all began, and some of that DNA is there, as we still see with the indie scene, as it always will be, because that's the driving kind of heart of this industry, is the creativity that comes from people who want to make games. And this is certainly not a speech about indies will save the industry. They certainly won't. There's not enough funding. There needs more funding. There needs to be more support within the indie scene in order for that to continue to thrive. People rely too much on the occasional Balatro or Among Us or Undertale or something like that to or Animal Well, whatever it might be, to keep the indie scene like going. It's like that's not enough. It's so messy. It's so complicated, and we forget as well that as the capital G gaming community, a lot of these games that we love and a lot of these studios and publishers that we have grown up with or enjoy the content, the games they make and things like that, are kind of dependent on us, because as we pointed out earlier, Mark, I think you said it best with the fact that the majority of games, also there is a top 10 games being played by the majority of people, which means there's less time for other games to be played. Your Minecrafts, your Call of Duties, your Fortnites, and all of that sort of stuff. And because of that, we as that core community within that bigger bubble are the only people who really support those other types of games. We're the ones who support the Ghosts of Yotes when they come out. That's not a game that's going to be bought by the whole broad, much larger gaming audience who play FIFA and Call of Duty, and those are the games they'll play for the year, or their kid will play Roblox on the machine. One or two will break through, Last of Us, a Halo, Gears of War or a God of War, like those sort of things will make through. And again, as you've been able to tell, we've basically ignored talking about Nintendo because they're an anomaly. They exist in their own bubble, and they're self-contained and they self-perpetuate. They don't need to follow trends. They don't have never done it, and no one's expecting that from them. So they're nothing to really talk about here. But yeah, I think again, give it another hour or two, we'd be still going.
I do want to say though, just the point that Mark said, it's about the community stuff. It's about expectations, about what you can and can't think. Because Harry, like you were right, because I had in my head about the customer is always right thing. This customer is always right in matters of taste.
Yeah.
It matters of taste. So if you want purple walls, you can have purple walls. But if you think your paint should be made out of flour and water, you're a fucking idiot. Because that's not the way to paint your fucking wall. There's people, the experts who know what they're doing, will tell you that that's not the right way to do it. But you have to say, I'm always right, because I know working in game, and you guys will definitely relate. You're not always fucking right. Most of the time, you've no idea what you're talking about. So shut up.
Right. Yeah. Especially people on the internet. Just like you're not gonna ask if you found out your accountant was on the internet every or 12 hours a day calling people cucks because they don't agree with them about video games. They wouldn't be your fucking accountant for very much longer. So it's just like. Okay, why is your opinion that valuable? Like, if the primary thing that you say is slop, like get some constructive criticism under your belt and then come back. I don't know.
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything they want to sign off with as far as this is concerned with the Xbox chat or
Helldivers 2! Helldivers 2!
Helldivers 2, baby.
All that, because Helldivers 2, baby.
Silver lining. I feel bad for them, if
Just-
anything. I feel bad for
You stole my
Arrowhead.
what I'm looking forward to. You stole it 2 minutes early.
Oh, you've done it
I'm
in,
sure I could
Adam.
think of someone else.
Oh, sorry.
No, you can still use that. But yeah,
It's okay, we're all just looking forward to Helldivers 2, like on Xbox. Even though I own it on PC, like I'll double it.
I've
Support the
platinumed it on
devs.
PlayStation already. It's like, yeah, exactly.
I've had PlayStation for about a year, but I haven't played it. But now it's coming on Xbox, so I'll probably play it because that's where I play. So,
Madness. Well, yeah.
despite all that nonsense, that's where just a nonsense.
I'll buy it twice. Support the devs.
Yes, that's it again. Yeah, at the end of the day, that's the message. People support developers, support games you love. If you see a game that's cool, try it out. Don't be put off by the fact it's small. Don't be put off by the fact it's something you may have not tried before. Try different things. You know, step outside your comfort zone a little bit. Maybe support a smaller title.
Go on a sale. Pick something up random. Just pick something random. It's like less than a McDonald's. You get anything that's less than a sandwich or a McDonald's, something like that. Just give it a go. Because what have you lost? Couple quid, 2 or 3 quid. You try some out. The dev gets the money anyway. If you didn't like it, fair enough.
Might I recommend the greatest form of advertising and marketing in video games? Demos. And check out the demo disc that we do every month, because we slap bunches of demos together, and it's a great way to find new games. Some of them are already out, some are coming out in the future, but they're there, available for you to try out and get a feel for it before you even put down a single penny for it. And what more could you ask for, as far as getting to try something before you buy? So, yeah, that's my recommendation.
If you don't like a game, feel free to talk to your friends about it, like in the pub or something. I'm not saying you can't criticize games. Obviously, we do reviews, we do criticize games, but just posting something like "this is dog shit" isn't really valuable criticism. And do you know what? Like, you don't have to jump on games you've never played to be like, "this is dog shit," because what you add into a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. If you complain about something, surely it's that you want something to improve in the future, right? You don't want to see it happen again. So how is anybody supposed to learn from you going, well, that's dog shit? No one's fucking learning from that. What do you like about it? What works? What could have been better? You're
applying far too much logic and reason to people who are not doing it for that reason at all. They're doing it purely to win. They want to win an argument. They want the internet points. They want the satisfaction of knowing that they chose the right thing.
Dude, they won't sleep with you. It's fine.
Exactly.
You're going to cash in your internet points in retirement. Like, let me see how that fucking goes. Like,
get an Xbox gift card or something.
How many you have to get a little troll for your pencil?
Yeah. Oh, the bouncy ball. Oh, I lost it. Damn.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Absolute fucking
right. Let's finish off with what we're looking forward to. Mark, you're looking forward to Helldivers 2?
I am looking forward to Helldivers 2. I've not got a PS5, and I've only recently become a Steam gamer, like I say, so something I've had a chance to play. But 35 quid looks a totally fair price of admission. The other thing I'm looking forward to is my Steam Deck dock, which is coming tomorrow.
Hey.
And it'd be nice to get my Steam Deck connected to a proper screen, Bluetooth and Xbox pad to it, and be able to set it up in the living room and download these extra 10 or so games in my Steam cart, which are going to cost me £10.30. I'll load them up on there tomorrow. So
amazing.
Full Half-Life bundle, £4.82. Like, what the? It's just insane, Steam. I can't get my head around it. It's nuts. But that's what I'm looking forward to.
Excellent. V, what are you looking forward to?
I'm also looking forward to jumping in with the squad and playing some Helldivers 2. As I bought it, I think on release date, I was going to play it with my friend, and then we just never got round to it. We just continued to play Deep Rock Galactic. So I'm excited to jump in with everybody. I'm also excited to eventually rope all of you all together at one time, because if getting 3 people together is difficult, 4 is even worse. To play Peak. As we discussed last week, because it does still look super fun.
Yes.
And I'm also excited for my neighbour who got a parcel delivered for me yesterday will ever answer his bloody door, because I want to open my Japanese Pokemon cards. So if he doesn't tomorrow, I'm going to have to break into his house. But he was fair warned. It's now been 2 days. Like,
Fair enough. Yeah. Yep. That's civil. I think that's respectful. Adam, what are we looking forward to?
Well, I am actually looking forward to Helldivers 2. Because I played 40 minutes of it on the PlayStation, and like, this is quite good. And then I haven't gone back to it ever since. And now it's coming on Xbox. I'll buy it again, and I'll fund it by selling my other copy because I'll play it on Xbox. But the closer thing, I think I said Wu Chang last week, which I'm still very much looking forward to, but I'm on holiday when it comes out, and I'm very sad about that.
No.
But Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Yeah.
Super fun. So I'm very much looking forward to that. That's going to be great.
Good stuff. And yes, to round out the team, I am very excited for Helldivers 2.
Red Faction Gorilla. Oh my god, that's what you should be calling it. Like Donkey Kong Bonanza, Red Faction Gorilla. That was
if only you were
I
there.
hate it here.
If only you were there in the meeting, hey, I'm sure it would have gone down really well with the rest of the Nintendo execs. They would have been like, yeah.
There was called Red Faction Gorilla.
Everyone will totally get it.
Gonna go aping here in a minute, honestly.
I couldn't control that.
Oh,
Jesus
no,
Christ.
you stop it as well, Mark. This is inappropriate.
Oh
This is
my
a
God.
hostile work environment. You're all terrible.
I am very much looking forward to Helldivers 2. I look forward to jumping on with all of you. As the only one here who's actually played it a lot, I guess, then yeah, very much excited to jump into something like this with all of you and see the chaos ensue. But for me personally, the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is July the 7th, purely because then my life will hopefully change in one way or another. I don't know, but we'll find out in some capacity maybe if there is a Final Fantasy IX remake, and finally I will be released from my shackles.
Not happening. It's not happening. You can have your.
Why are you so full of hate?
Your screensavers.
Why do you have nothing but a little black heart within your chest?
You can just go there jacking it off in the corner. It's just not happening.
You know what? No. I didn't do that with you in Atomfall. No.
I don't write a billion articles about all the merch that are coming out for Atomfall. It's fine. Like,
I'll stop then, shall I?
Oh my.
It's nothing. And even if it does happen, it won't be good.
Right. Well, there we are. That is what we're all looking forward to. That has been the weekly news podcast. Thank you three for joining me. As much as it was obviously not an exciting. Stop it! For goodness' sake.
You're only allowed one of those per podcast, and you used it earlier badly. Yeah.
Last time, so I'm getting double in. I can't make it up for it last week.
Thank you everybody for listening or watching this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like. If you have anything you'd like to share with us, any criticisms, any feedback, any comments, whatever you like, leave it in the comments below. If you'd like to hear more, see more, consider subscribing. Please visit our website, gamersocialclub.ca, for all of our written content. Check back here for guides, check back here for our party chat, check back here for Girl Pod. There's a lot going on with Gamer Social Club. So yeah, best to get involved. And of course, consider joining our Discord. We are slowly growing. And yeah, we're hoping to get some more community stuff going soon as well. No doubt Helldivers 2 will be on the agenda. But yeah, with that, thank you three for joining me again this week for another episode. Thank you all for listening and watching. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, play some great games, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.